watching Numbskull News, and today we're talking about the Pac-12 yet again. They just cannot get their way out of the news. What we find out from the New York Post is that Apple TV apparently has emerged as their savior, as the lead dog to get Tier 1 rights of the Pac-12. And I know it's the New York Post, but it just all seems like horse shit. That's what it seems like to me. Think about what Apple TV is, folks. I mean, I looked it up. They don't publish their subscribers because if they had any, they would publish it. Now, look, Amazon doesn't either, but I can at least say with Amazon, you know, at least people shop there. So there's some clientele that's waiting in the wings if there's something interesting for them to get Prime Video. And you can get Prime Video for like nothing and watch stuff for free. You know, there's subscription services and all that you can get on there as well. But, I mean, what is Apple TV? I mean, Netflix is king. It's still king. So many of these other subscription services, you know, they have something that draws you in, right? So Netflix, I mean, whether that's Stranger Things or Squid Game, you know, they've had the classics on there like Orange is the New Black or House of Cards. You know, there's plenty of crap on there to watch and suck you into that app. You know, even Paramount Plus, you know, they have Yellowstone and they're, you know, they're gaining subscribers quite a bit. You know, Peacock, you know, that's one of the smaller ones, but they're gaining subscribers. They have a lot of that Star Trek content on there. They have the Picard show. Look, I'm a Trekkie. I'm a dork. But, you know, they got a lot of good Star Trek shit on there that draws a lot of people in. It's a huge franchise. And not to mention they're about to have an ass ton of Big Ten content on there as well. So they're getting more and more entrenched into the sports landscape already. And that's with the Big Ten, not the Pac-12. There's ESPN Plus, and they're growing and growing a little every year, very wisely, because, you know, look, Disney Plus is like the #2 streaming option these days. And you can easily just get the bundle and get Hulu and ESPN Plus with that. It's super cheap. And there's an ass ton of content, ass ton of live games that you could watch on ESPN Plus. It's not expensive. But with all these streaming options, I mean, Apple TV's way down the totem pole, folks. You know, and they have a lot of original content, and a lot of it has gotten, you know, Emmy nods and won Emmys, you know, a lot of Critics' Choice shit on there, but there's nothing that's really popped off like Stranger Things or The Mandalorian or something like that. There's nothing to really suck you into this app. And trust me, I know. I have a YouTube TV, you know, a little box, like a Roku box. Some of the bitch is like $250, and I don't even have Apple TV. I don't even have a subscription. You know, I just use it like a cooler Roku. That's all I use it for. You know, I watch Amazon Prime Video on there. I watch Netflix. I watch Hulu. You know, I watch HBO Max or I watch Disney Plus. You know, I'm not. Why get Apple TV for the Pac-12? No one's watching that shit on linear TV. I mean, really. Oregon and Washington, they're the only ones that get like really prime ratings out of that shit. And if you think they want their Tier 1 rights on Apple TV, I mean, maybe you could talk them into ESPN Plus or you know, like I said before, Peacock, you know, would they want their Tier 1 right there with the Big Ten? You can make a case. You can make a case for that. But right now, you can go to Hulu Live TV. You can go YouTube Live, you know, YouTube TV. There's, you know, or if you're one of the people that are holding on to their cable subscriptions or satellite subscriptions, you can get all your sports there. You can watch, you know, you can watch all of the other conferences, Power 5 and Group of 5 shit. But now you're gonna have to get a whole nother app just to watch Pac-12. That's dumb. And what's even stupider, what could actually happen maybe, are you telling me that, okay, for the Tier 1 shit, the best games, you got to go to Apple TV. For the Tier 2 stuff, the next level games, because Amazon wants like a Wednesday or Friday night game. So let's say they do the Friday night Tier 2 game. So now you got to get Amazon And then, maybe ESPN will run your late night shit and have your tier 3 stuff on ESPN Plus. That's a mess, dude. That's a mess. If you're going to go streaming, you got to pick one. You can't just have that's 3 different streaming platforms, folks. That shit ain't going to fly. If you want to destroy your conference, go for it. All right, go for that. But that is a horrible idea. And I don't believe for 2 seconds Oregon and Washington signed a grant of rights for their tier 1 shit to be on Apple TV. No, no, you can forget about that. That's not going to happen. Oregon especially is not going to do that. You can kiss my ass on that. And ESPN, look, they're out on the tier 1. They're not going to spend big money on that. Bob Iger, who runs Disney, he is cutting and slashing costs all over Disney. That affects ABC, that affects ESPN, that affects everything. Don't think for 2 seconds ESPN is going to step up hugely monetarily. They are not. They're looking for a good deal. They're looking for that late night window. They're looking for maybe a little bit of content on ESPN Plus, and that's it. That's all they give 2 shits about. Amazon would be willing to pay for a game. Somehow, if you can trick Apple TV into giving you any kind of real money for some tier 1, I have a hard time believing Apple TV is going to do that. I know they got MLS, but it's MLS. I think they have like a baseball game a week, right? A Major League Baseball game, one game a week. Come on, this is a joke. This is an absolute. Everyone's like, oh, this could be it. This could be it. That is so, dude. That reeks of some desperate shit. I mean, some real desperate shit. Look, if that's what you're gonna do, then go ahead, be my guest. Because, look, if you're Oregon and Washington, you might as well come to the Big 12. It's a hell of a lot better than Apple TV. I'm sorry. Look, I got an Apple phone. Like I said, I got that little Apple box thing that's $250. I'm an Apple fan. I like it. Now, I'm still using PC here, but this year I'm going to upgrade my shit to Apple. I like Apple. All right. It's just expensive as fuck, but I like it. It's like technology for dummies. It's very well made. I don't, an association with Apple is a good thing, kind of, unless you're talking about having your tier 1 rights associated with Apple TV. It's just not a streaming service to me that's widely used at all. At all. Because I guarantee you, if they had 30 or 40 or 50 million subscribers right now, they would publish that shit. And really the same thing with Amazon. I'm sorry, there's not a shit ton of Amazon Prime Video people out there. Not yet. I think they'll get there. They got to add a hell of a lot more original content than they have. And you got to have more than just one NFL game. You got to have more than just, some NASCAR shit. They got to step up their game too. But really, is the Pac-12 stepping up your game if you're a streamer? Not really. Not like I said, who's watching it on linear TV? Who's watching it now on ESPN? Not a lot of people. There's not a lot of huge ratings outside of Oregon and Washington. There's not a lot of huge ratings to be had in the Pac-12. You don't have this long line outside of Buffalo Wild Wings for everyone to get in there and want to watch Stanford. That's not a thing. It's just not. To me, it's just another sign that the Pac-12 is in serious shit, serious trouble. And I'm talking trouble like losing teams. I'm not saying the Pac-12 is going to die off this year. Maybe you could, whatever teams leave, because I'm pretty damn well convinced teams are going to leave. I know, from the Dennis Dodds, 365 Sports in Waco, John Kurtz, everybody is like, no, I don't think, nothing's going to happen really with the Pac-12. They'll get whatever deal. From who? You got to have a deal in order to keep these teams. And a deal with Apple TV is not going to cut it, folks. It's just not. Uh, if that doesn't work out, what do? You go to Roku? You know, where do you go? Pluto TV? You know, Pluto TV actually has, has viewers. People are actually watching Pluto TV. But what do you do, man? I mean, you're running out of options when you're down to Apple TV, because everyone's been talking Amazon out the ass. Some people have said something about Apple TV before, but I think Amazon was the preferred partner there. But when they just aren't going to spend a lot of money on you, okay, then you got to pick up the phone and hope Apple answers, right? Are they going to answer? And if they do, are they willing to spend any more than Amazon is? And if they are, I mean, let's say they're willing to, throw in some decent money. Let's say they're willing to get you somewhere in the neighborhood of the Big 12 TV deal. But your tier 1 has to be on Apple TV. I just don't see that. I don't see that playing out at all. Not for Oregon, not for Washington, not for the Arizona schools. I don't see that. I mean, from everything that's been talked about, those schools are like, screw you. We don't want to be on a streamer. You want to put some tier 2 on there, some tier 3 shit on there? That's fine. But no, tier 1, tier 1's got to, it's got to be on linear shit. That's what they want. But if ESPN is out on tier 1, because we know Fox is, we know NBC is, the CBS is, and the list of people that are out is way bigger than anyone who may be in. As a matter of fact, I can't name one damn service outside of maybe Apple. Maybe. This is according to the New York Post, so we don't know how true this is. I mean, this could very well be some manufactured bullshit thrown out by the Pac-12 just to, get some positive press for a change. And more than likely, that's exactly what that is. They picked up the phone and said, would you be interested? Oh, we'll take a meeting. Oh, we'll throw it to the New York Post. Oh, guess who's in the lead? Because we got a meeting. I mean, no, I'm not buying that shit for 1 second. Yeah, as a Big 12 fan, dude, I'm having a ball over here, y'all. I really am. Because, man, they are making a TV deal look really difficult. I mean, really difficult. And I'll admit, not all of it is their fault. There is this economic downturn that all these big corporations are worried about. And, everybody's nut cutting. Everyone's, bracing for impact. And they're not really wanting to go out there and spend an ass ton of money on some kind of acquisition, on a licensing deal with the Pac-12 right now. Especially when you don't have the linear ratings to back up what they're paying for. As I said, outside of Oregon and Washington. And trust me, Oregon and Washington, they don't want to, they got great ratings and they don't want to waste that shit on Apple TV. That's ridiculous. And if you hear anyone say, oh, well, that could be a great partner. Oh, this could be the future. That's dumb shit. All right, that's straight up propaganda. That's horse shit. Don't let anyone that says that, they're full of shit. They're a Pac-12 homer. They're whatever you want to call it. I believe Brett Yarmark is working the crap out of them back channels as we speak. And I'm talking Oregon, Washington, Arizona, and Arizona State before any other schools. He is on the horn, and he's trying to make shit happen. He's like, well, hey, guys, Apple TV sounds good, but, ESPN and Fox might sound a little better. And maybe at the end of the day, whatever the Pac-12 can churn out, let's say they, from all of their all of their partners, yeah, all of their partners, let's say they can squeeze 25 mil per team out of that, that blood out of that rock, right? 25 million a team. Let's say they can squeeze that. Well, like I said, if it's tier 1 on Apple TV, that's not even Amazon. That's not YouTube TV. That's not ESPN Plus. That's none of that. It's freaking Apple TV. I'll bet your arm and say, okay, you're going to get to the Big Ten on Apple TV. Yeah. Okay, well, good luck, Or maybe, maybe Oregon and Washington might have an easier time getting to the Big Ten one day, and the Big 12 being seen on ESPN and Fox, you know, actually have, a footprint, actually being able to be viewed by people, by the masses. A conference that can actually take their ratings and do something with it. Oregon's a national brand. Remember, Washington is not a national brand. People outside of the Pac 12 don't know that Washington is anything. I mean, I'm sorry, for years I didn't think there was really that much of a difference between Washington or Washington State. If you asked me, I didn't know who the bigger squad was. Oregon's been everywhere. They were in BCS championship games. I've seen them in the playoffs. They've been around and they've been successful and all the Nike shit. They are great at branding themselves and had success to back it up. But Washington, even though they've had success, who's heard of them? Utah, barely. I mean, nationally, not really. Who watches Utah games? Well, I mean, think about this, guys. That shit, it doesn't get promoted. How do you promote in the Pac-12? You're on the West Coast. People on the East Coast, you're talking about the media capital of America is New York, and no one in New York is watching Pac-12. It's on too late. Maybe they'll watch Oregon when they have an interesting matchup or something, but that's about it. I mean, they cared about USC, they cared about UCLA basketball, but that's gone now. It's only Oregon. That's the only brand you got. Washington isn't even a brand. And how is Washington going to be a brand on Apple TV? If they want to grow their brand and become national like Oregon, it's going to do you a hell of a lot of good to play in the Central Time Zone on ESPN, on Fox. Apple TV is not going to cut it. Simple. Anyway, that's all I got. I'll be back with some other crap later. Bye.